Everyone, Gaara here and welcome to a brand new deck tech video. This deck tech video is brought to you by our sponsors G2A. Today I'm gonna talk about what the best current or one of the best current ladder decks is, and a lot of people are very curious about this because the meta is really crazy. It's not so crazy. Basically, when you play ladder, most of the time you will face either patron or a patron counter deck, or just something crazy, completely obscure, some variations of mage or whatever. And that makes it very difficult to find a deck with which you can really climb consistently well. And you're basically forced to play patron or a patron counter. And yeah, a lot of people don't like doing that. And yeah, I was playing a lot of different types of decks, and especially because I'm preparing for different tournaments and Archon League and Assembly, Dream Hacks and so forth. And right now, a new season has started 2 days ago, and the deck I like the most right now is probably Druid. Even though I'm in tournaments, I would say Druid is one of the worst classes right now, just because it loses to almost everything. But since all the win percentages of all decks are so close, it's every deck covers around 50% almost. So Druid is very good if you do all the maths. So I'm gonna show you with this video a fast Druid deck that I would play. You have seen many versions of it, and yeah, because the grand tournament isn't released yet, there aren't many different decks you can play that are good right now, unfortunately, because the meta is kind of figured out at this point, and it really comes down to Handlock, Patron Warrior, Zoo, Hybrid Hunter, Fast Druid, Tempo Mage as well, Agro Paladin. Those decks, and they're all percentage wise, when you face, if they all face against each other, are so close together, it's crazy. And yeah, so Druid is something that isn't played that much when you think about it. Most of the time you will face some cancer decks or Zoo Patron. So I kinda showing this deck, I guess. Yeah, I'm going over the deck list here. It's pretty standard, most of the deck. Some cards are maybe not that standard, but yeah, you will see that. Double Innovate, double Wild Growth, double Wrath is just the core of every Druid deck, basically. Wrath is so flexible. It's maybe you're wondering why this card was never ever cut, because in Mage, even when you play Mage, there were versions where you play cut Frostbolt, but the main reason is really because you can choose to Wrath a target for one to cycle the Wrath, and that makes this card so powerful that it will always be core. Yeah, even in Fatigue Druid, Mill Druid, this card is played. So there's I haven't seen a single Druid version which cut Wrath. That's how powerful this card is. There's versions without Wild Growth, because you play Token Druid or whatever, even though this card is super powerful, but there's no version you can play without Wrath. So this is the core, and however you build Druid, you will most of the time have those 6 cards. Double Savage Roar, right now this is also pretty core. Just a very flexible card. It's so much stronger than Bloodlust when you compare those two cards. I like to compare this card with Bloodlust, when it's just uncomparable. Bloodlust is 5 mana, it's a completely dead card, super slow, and it doesn't buff your character. And this gives your character +2 attack, so if you just have 1 minion on board, this card gives you already a +4 attack for 3 mana, which is super good removal. And it's mostly used as a finisher, so it's a very, very strong flexible card. 1 BGH, I think it is core, just because Druid has no way to deal with any big minion, and even Zoo plays Sea Giants, Dr. Boom, Mal'Ganis. Those are core cards, Mal'Ganis especially. And yeah, Handlock is pretty popular. It's very bad against Patron Warrior, because you will rarely kill a Frothing with it, and if you kill a Frothing with it, you most likely already lost the game, because you're so low that you die next turn. But you still have to play one at least. The Shade is just such a good card. It just gives you a more consistent opener, because if you don't draw the Wild Growth and Innovate, there's a high chance that you will have the Shade, And this makes the deck very consistent, especially when you have the coin. When you have the coin, you will get something. Yeah, you will get either the Shade or Innervate Valgriff. It is very unlucky that you don't draw anything, like because you mulligan for it and you keep one of the parts. And most of the time, if you have the Valgriff or Innervate, people consider Druid already favored in the matchup or supposed to win the match. Swipe just Core as a removal card. This is also played in every single version of Druid just because this card is so strong, also with spell power. Yeah, it's just because it can be used as a single target removal, and a lot of decks play like those, a lot of 1 toughness minions like Implosion that spawns Imps or Masterful Battle, and against those cards, Swipe is like awesome. Keeper is also like the best silencer in the game. Druid has like so many strong cards available, and it has also like a flexible effect that you can choose to deal 2 damage instead, which is really good, and the stats are not too terrible either. Shredder is like the best 4 drop, like this goes without saying, everyone agrees on that. Sometimes you get a bad outcome, but even with that low chance, Part of Shredder is just way too good, way above every other 4 drop. And if you get Innervate or Wild Growth into Shredder, into like a 5 drop, it's just most of the time just auto wins you the game. Azure Drake, I played 2. This is not core, but against control decks you like to have the additional card draw. If you don't draw the lore, you will just run out of steam. It is bad against aggro decks to have the Azure Drake, but right now I like this more than the other 5 drops. I like this more than Sludge Belcher. Sludge Belcher is not so good against Patron Warrior, and against Patron Warrior you need, if the game goes a little bit longer, you need the spell power swipe to clear the patrons. So that's actually the main matchup where I like Azure Drake. Also against Handlock, that you don't run out of steam, Azure Drake is nice. But yeah, of course against aggro decks it's bad because 4/4 starts for 5 mana is not good, and it doesn't have taunt, so it's not good as well. But it helps you draw, like dig deeper into your deck to find taunts and heal if necessary. So it's not too terrible. Also it buffs the Wrath, which is very nice. Druid of the Claw, it's very flexible as well. You have to choose effect. It's good against Warrior because it doesn't die to Deathbite second charge. It's a big difference compared to Sludge Belcher, so that's why I like this card more than Sludge Belcher. And it doesn't die to Skill Command, so I like this more than Sludge Belcher overall. Harrison and Lotep are the 2 tech cards which are pretty core in Druid right now. You might as well play like one Ooze if you wanna cut something. If I would decide to play Ooze, just to be more consistent against Paladin and Warrior, so you can guaranteed like kill a Deathbite. It gives you a big edge. If you play against Patron Warrior, you destroy the Deathbite before they spawn the patrons. So I would probably cut from this deck one Azure Drake, because you have like a lot of 5 drops. You have 1, 2, 4, 6 5 drops. But yeah, if you cut one Azure Drake, you will be slightly weak against control decks because you have less card draw, and yeah, the value of an Ooze is not the greatest if you don't kill a weapon, obviously. But it is slightly better against aggro decks because you have another play on turn 2. Like Ooze trades with a Knife Juggler or whatever. Depends on how the meta is, right? What kinds of decks you're facing. It changes like every few hours. If you play against more aggro decks or more control decks. So if you play against a lot of patrons, I would recommend playing like an additional Ooze to the Harrison just to have the 2 weapon removals, because it's very important to kill the Deathbite. It just gives you like a higher win percentage in that matchup. I think Lotep is a very strong card. It's just not just in Druid, but this is one of the very few minions you can play on board and you're behind on board, because your opponent can't remove them with spells to get like to maintain the tempo, so they have to deal with the Lotep. And if they don't deal with the Lotep, you have the Lotep available to deal with the board more effectively next turn, or the turn after you play the Lotep, and 5/5 or 5 is good. Actually, there's no minion that has better stats for 5 mana, so it's super good. Double Force of Nature, some people tend to want 1 Force of Nature, but you really want to have the combo 9, so to have that more consistently, you want to run 2 Force of Natures. And it is not a bad card to remove minions as well. It's very flexible because it gives like free turns. You can kill multiple minions with it. I think this is a good card for 6 mana, so you can play 2 of them. Emperor, it's very strong in Druid, especially with Innovator Balgrove shenanigans. Just because it makes your Ancient of War and Ancient of Law less clunky. Like you can coin out Emperor into a 7-drop, which is super strong. Ancient of Law in control, like one of the best control cards in the game, because you draw 2 cards with it and it has 5/5 stats, and that's very strong. And Druid can get it out faster, so it's not really like a 7-drop. And right now, yeah, no Dr. Boom, no Ragnaros, no Scenarios shenanigans, double Ancient of War, just because of the meta. A Patron Warrior, this is good against Patron Warrior, doesn't spawn patrons, whatever. And it has to be executed. It's like the only way to kill it, because Patron Warrior only runs execute. So this is really like a strong taunt. And also against Aggro Paladin, because Aggro Paladin doesn't run Equality. Also Hunter doesn't run Hunter's Mark most of the time right now. Only 1 Owl. It's just like Hybrid Hunter is the most common Hunter. Against all those decks, Ancient of War is the best protection, and Dr. Boom is just not so strong right now because of Patron Warrior, because it gives you additional patrons and they can easily deal with the Dr. Boom, just with the patrons even. And Ancient of War is like a real taunt that really protects you. So this is like the Druid deck I would run right now. I'm also gonna show you some games on ladder. As I mentioned, it's like new season. I just came back from Helsinki, and yeah, I'm also gonna show you some games.